Hello guys, this is Todd Taylor, aka the Flip Man. The contract. If you're trying to wholesale a house, trying to flip a house, you're not using your own cash or credit, it all starts with the control of a contract. If you're on Facebook, which is just mainly what this is made for, I already have a version of this on YouTube that's a little older, but just I guess an updated version. I'll share some things that I've done differently, but mainly this is for Facebook and Instagram. If you're on Instagram or Twitter, you're seeing this. You only have a minute here to go through whatever, and so if you want a copy of it, what you need to do just to get a copy of the contract also, but to see this entire video, just text the word contract to 313131 to download a free copy and to see this entire video. So my minute is up for Instagram and Twitter. You know what to do, and don't forget about my 150 videos, howtofliphouses.net. Okay, so as I said, I just want to go through this first. It all starts with a contract. Not going to get into the nuts and bolts of getting to this point because it's so detailed from there, but most people, this is their hold up. They're just terrified of the paperwork, which to me, that's the easy part, even when I'm going into something else. The paperwork is the easy part. If I can get a buyer and I get a seller on board, the paperwork is the easy part. You made it. If the paperwork is keeping you from doing a deal, you've made it. Trust me, you've made it. I don't like to use the word easy, as many of you know, but if there is a thing as easy as to get to the paperwork, you've made it. If you got a buyer and seller in place. So if you need to understand the entire process of wholesaling, I got tons of videos on YouTube. You can access all of those at howtofliphouses.net. 150 free video tutorials. I'm not lying. Been put them out since '08. I've been wholesaling houses for 13 years. Real estate investing 13 years. 10 of those years full time. So, but starting with a contract. All this stuff works only because you have control over a property with a contract. All right. So a lot of things I can get into. My mind is just running because I'm doing this off the top of my head, as you may tell. But I know it like the back of my hand. So my mind running in a lot of different directions. I don't want to get off track for the main purpose of this video. But the reason that you can wholesale a property is because of this document here. Now I use a one-page simple contract, and a lot of people like this. Matter of fact, I had an investor call me today, my biggest investor locally. They say, "Hey Ty, can I use your? Don't think I'm a bum. Can I use your contract?" He said, "There's no reason for me to use that 10 or 12-page contract that realtors want when this works." I know. He said, "Where did you get it from?" I said, "I don't even remember, man. I've been using it so long, I really don't remember." And so, anyway, so it all starts with control. The reason that you'll have value to a cash buyer is because you're controlling something that they want, which you've negotiated a very attractive deal, placed it on the contract at one price, and you're wholesaling it at a higher price to your cash investor. Now, that's a different contract, but not different. I use the same contract. Most of them don't have a problem with this or whatever. You have some buyers that'll submit you an offer through a contract, but that's fine. Ain't no big deal. But the main thing is this seller's contract. So let's go through it. Enough of the hoo-la. Again, if you want to get a copy of this, text contract to 313131 to download a free copy. You're going to receive the text. It'll have a link there on where you can go. You can probably best download it. You can best download it on a laptop or PC, but it will give you access to it. There's a real simple website that you can remember. I don't display it because I want you to follow these instructions. Text contract to 313131 to download a free copy. Who doesn't have a smartphone? Who doesn't? If you don't, you need to get one. Alrighty, so let's start. Purchase and sales agreement. All right, all real estate start with this. All real estate deals start with this, whether it's a $10,000 house or $10 million piece of commercial real estate. They all start with a purchase and sales agreement. Maybe not this agreement, but it starts with similar agreement. All right, so just for the sake of just filling it out, and I'll explain each area as I go through it. All right, date 4th of August 16th, 2016. All right, sellers, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. So that's whoever the owner of the property is. All right, it has a social security number here, but I don't want to do this, not applicable. All right, the buyer, that's you, the wholesaler, whether it's in your name or in a LLC or entity that you have. All right, so the next area is the address, 2020 Flipman Boulevard, which I'm the flip man, get it? Anyway, Cashville, Mississippi, not a real town that I'm aware of, and I just made up the zip code, and you put the county. I don't worry about the legal description because that could probably fill up this entire area here, you know, in some cases. So personal property included, that's the area where I'll just put property sold is. Now, this is one of the reasons why you'll get a deal is because you're buying it as is. That's the reason you make one of the level of motivation is that the seller doesn't have to do anything to it to be able to sell it, is that you're going to buy it in the condition that it's in. But that has to be factored in to your negotiations on the repairs, which that's a whole nother video in itself. But you have to understand that. So property sold as is, very important. All right, earnest money. So let me start here first. So assume the purchase price of this house is $70,000. The ARV, which means what the house will appraise for in excellent condition, the actual acronym is after repair value, but the way I explain is what will this house appraise for in excellent condition. For the sake of this video, we'll just say the house will appraise for $150, and you can get it for $70 for whatever reason. Maybe needs 20 in repairs. You may make 10 grand off this deal. But so what you're going to do is that earnest money is not a law, it's just a standard practice. Now, let me preface, I should have said it before I started the video. I'm not an attorney, but this stuff works. So attorneys look at this contract all the time on the seller and buyer side. No problem with it in 13 years. No problem. Being used all over the country by students. So $10. All right. I get away with this amount a lot of times. So I'd have to feel out who you're dealing with. Some sellers will accept, some won't. Go up to 50. Some accept, some won't. Go up to 100. Normally that's my max. Now if I get into higher end houses, you know, the house maybe 100K or 150, 200,000, 300,000, then you know this will go up, you know, and then it's still, I'm not going to probably put it in their hand. I'm going to let an attorney hold it. But normally $10 will work. Again, you'll have realtors that'll watch this video and like, oh no, that's not a law. That's just their standard of practice and their comfort level to say, hey, I'm protecting my client, blah blah. No, that's realtor stuff. That's what they want to happen. I mean, they can dispute it all they want or whatever. But I know this works, so it doesn't matter what they say. I know it's worked hundreds of deals later. So so earnest money deposit. So you subtract the earnest money. On another video I did on YouTube, I did the math wrong. So hopefully I got it right today. Cash to closing, cash to sell at closing, $69,990. In reality, I rarely did subtract that just to keep the numbers even with this right here, the 70,000. But for the sake of this video and get you to do it right versus the renegade that I am or whatever, you'll do it correctly. But you subtract it, so that's $69,900 cash to sell at closing. All right, so existing loans or liens, which there may be a loan or lien there, which it doesn't matter. It'll come out when the title work is done. And so it'll be subtracted as needed. And new loan to sell at closing, don't worry about that either. That'll come out in the title work. So the actual purchase price again is $70,000 on this property, but cash to sell at closing is $69,990 minus the $10 earnest money. If that was $100, then that'll be $69,900. Or if it was you could do the math on the rest of it. So that's $69,990. Buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. Very, very important. Buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. And what that simply means is that as you represented as the buyer here, you're shifting all the closing costs to you minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens, which will come out of this 69,990 or 70,000. It's going to come out of that amount if they owe any of that. Now, sometimes I pay taxes, sometimes I pay liens, just depending on the deal. You know, I'm not going to if I have a chance to make $12,000 and they have a $1,500 lien and they don't want to pay it, I'm not going to allow $1,500 to keep me from making $10,500. You see what I'm saying? So, but it's all negotiable. So number 2 here, the balance due to the seller is $69,990. This needs to match. These two numbers all need to be met, whether you subtract the $10 or not. If you don't, but they still need to match. Number 2 in this area right here. shall be paid as filed a full payment. All right. The rest of you will go through, but I'm just going to do the parts that matter. Number 4 says conditionality of appliance. So this is say even though I'm buying it as is, and this area here says appliances and all this stuff needs to be working, so I'll omit that. So closing date and transfer of title. As you see here, this is the 4th of August, and so 30 days is normally all I need. If I can't wholesale a house in 30 days, and sometimes you have to ask for more time, and I'll get to that, but normally 30 days is enough to wholesale a house. Normally. Sometimes you won't have enough time. You may have, it just might not be timing for a buyer or buyers that may be interested in a property in that area. Sometimes you just didn't do a good enough job in negotiating. It's that simple. But 2 things: you go back to the seller, you ask them for more time, and they give it to you. You ask them for more time, and they don't. If they don't, you move on, and I'm going to show you why you can move on. Number 1, because you gave them this right here. You know, that earnest money is sells, and that's what they're signing up for. But it says shall be held at to be determined. That's basically whatever title company or closing attorney, depending on what state you're in. That's where the closing will be held. And normally, what I'll tell a seller if they're interested in knowing that information, normally they don't care until it's time to know it. Is, I just let them know who I normally close with. But if you never close with anyone, and if you're starting out fresh, you don't even worry about that part of it, because your buyer a lot of times will dictate who and where to close. And a lot of people say, well, I've been calling title companies all day, and they say they don't do this. They say they don't do it because they probably have never done it, and the person that you have on the phone don't know what they're talking about. If they have a buyer, or which is a client of theirs, that says, hey, we're going to do this deal like this is a cash deal, there's nothing illegal. They just never done it before. And so you pick it back off of their client, and now once you go through a transaction like that, now you can go back to them and you can use that same title company or closing attorney because they know what to do, even if that buyer is not involved. All right, so as I say, you can read through the rest of this verbiage. It's really simple, but item number 10 here. The liability shall be limited to the property itself and shall not extend beyond. That basically means that if this contract is not executed by them getting their $70,000, this is your get out of contract clause, if you want to call it. It's just a simple phrase there. You could be sued for anything. Doesn't mean they have legitimate grounds to win. So let me just clear it up. Again, I'm not an attorney, but never had any problems with this contract. Hundreds of deals later, and people use it all over the country. So that's basically the contract. Now, there's some other clauses, but this clause right here, as you'll see the YouTube video I have a couple other clauses, but it's really not needed because this item number 10 takes care of it. So if you want a copy of this contract, just text contract to 313131 to download your free copy. Remember my 150 plus videos at howtofliphouses.net. You can call or text me at 205-492-3425. I am the Flip Man. See you when you text contract to 313131 to download a free copy. Thanks. I hope this helps.